What is up, Black Ice Guild? Welcome to a new video that is not just me doing a silly monotype team. Uh, Today we are looking at the first recorded Black Ice Draft League. Our teams are the Diamond Dust Foxes by Endermental, the Sheer Force Pyroars by Valkyrie, the Denver Nuggies by Joker Joke, the Pretty Pinnipeds by Polter Pages, Boca Raton Raticates by Dummy, the Lunar Empire by Trixie, Eeterna City Eevees by Nines, and the Rayquaza Quasars by Eevees. In this draft league, we decided to ban Floette, not because it's broken, which, to be fair, it is absolutely broken, but because it's the only thing unobtainable in Champions. So each of us is going to battle one person a week. We are hoping to get all of these battles recorded, but some of them will simply not be, and that is sad. We each drafted 10 Pokemon using a 100-point system, where some Pokemon were worth up to 20 points, and some Pokemon that are just things like Watchog R1, some Mega Pokemon that are worse than their standard were just freebies for whoever drafted the Pokemon. Some Pokemon that were really good are worth 20 points, and Pokemon that are not so good are worth 1, and everything in between based on how good it is. Some Pokemon that might not be good in normal meta might be really good in the draft, and we're excited to see that. Joining me today are Endermental and Polter Pages, who I am not biased toward.
Oh, definitely not. Hello, fellow viewers. Welcome to the Wanderers Guild. I am your fellow co-host today, Ender or Endermental, and I represent the Diamond Dust Foxes.
Hi, Black Ice Guild. I'm Polter Pages, and I'm part of the Pretty Pinnipeds team.
So our first team is the Diamond Dust Foxes. Ender, what can you tell us about what you picked out?
So, my team was a little bit kind of interesting because I did get to go first. So I got the first overall pick of the draft, which gave me a little bit of an advantage to go in with, knowing that I, no matter what, could say whatever Pokemon I wanted first. And even if I changed it, it didn't matter because I would always get my first pick. I decided to go with Sinestcha first, simply because of its versatility, but also the fact that it is extremely hard to go up against in certain situations. And so I wanted to kind of take that game piece off of the board. But by taking that game piece off of the board, and it being one of the few 20-pointers we had available, I kind of had to build my team around it. Sinestcha is kind of a slower mon, so I decided I would use my next two picks on Mega Mawile and Farigiraf to kind of give it some bulk or versatility that I could throw out. The ability to use Trick Room with those three mons is definitely there. It's not really my main strategy, but I do like to have the option to switch it around if needed, because having multiple options and having people expect you to do one and you completely do the other, I love the ability to just kind of keep people on their toes, not really sure what move I'm going to go with. Meanwhile, I knew I didn't want to have a hard team that could go either Trick Room or just be stuck in kind of a regular stalemate. And so I decided to draft Mega Sceptile, Heliolisk, and Sylveon to kind of have some mixed speed, but also some really fast attackers in case I need to switch my strategy up. Sceptile is one of the faster Megas available currently on the roster. It's not the fastest, but it is definitely up there. And then Heliolisk has a pretty decent speed stat, barely being beaten out by things like Sneasler, Mega Aerodactyl, and things like that. and then give it things like a choice scarf or something along those lines, and it can most of the time outspeed anything it needs to. Meanwhile, a lot of my other picks are just kind of in there in case I need to run them. Like Vileplume has Helping Hand, which makes it so it can make my other teammate move first. So if I need to run like Sylveon and I want Sylveon to guaranteed move first, use Vileplume. Meanwhile, other picks on my team, like if I look here, we also have Scovillain, which has the ability Moody, which is kind of a mixed bag with how Moody works, because you're not exactly sure which stat's going to go up and which stat is going to go down. I could get one of those runs where I end up getting all the right stats I want up and only the ones I don't want down, or I could immediately get myself screwed, have my speed go down, and have like the wrong attack stat go up, or I could have my wrong defense go up and my attack go down. You never really know with Moody. That's kind of the risk you're playing. Meanwhile, Dry Skin Heliolisk has the ability where if somebody were to throw out Drought, for example, I could slowly start losing HP. But with Heliolisk having Discharge and Mega Sceptile having Lightning Rod, it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Now, one
Meanwhile,
thing I have noticed about your team is your team is very weak to fire.
That does happen to be one of the main weaknesses on it. I was testing out the team earlier today, and two of the main weaknesses I noticed were the fact that Mega Sceptile can easily be one-shot by an Ice-type move, given its 4 times weakness to Ice, being a Dragon Grass type. It is also extremely susceptible to fire still. Meanwhile, Mega Mawile can still be one-shot by things like Heat Wave, Flamethrower, etc., Eruption.
Now, Mega Charizard Y, thankfully, is not in the format, but we still have plenty of other fire types. Like, we have Charizard X, we have Delphox. I can't remember anything else that was taken. What do you think you could do? What do you think you can do to handle these Pokemon?
When it comes to fire types specifically, my main goal is to either hopefully predict what move is going to be done where, and use my Pokemon that aren't as susceptible to fire, like Sylveon, Manectric, or Farigiraf, and try and use moves like Screens to try and mitigate some of the damage that's going to be done. Use moves like Protect or Detect to hopefully block moves incoming, or hopefully outspeed either using Trick Room positioning or Tailwind positioning, depending on the mon. I do not currently have a Tailwind setter, but my goal is to just hopefully outpace correctly. I have several moves on my roster that allow me to kind of predict the battle. Like, I have Rage Powder with Sinestro, which forces it to be the target. I've got Trick Room to hopefully kind of protect my own positioning. I've got Light Screen and Reflect to kind of hopefully mitigate either physical or special damage. And then I've got priority moves like Sucker Punch to hopefully kind of take control of a battle and take out the threats that I see immediate before they get to me. But at the same time, the weaknesses are there. They are very glaring, and I don't have too much to go around them except to just hope that I predict better than they do.
Next up is Eeterna City Eevees by Nines. He's not here to join us, sadly. Tyranitar, Primarina, Gyarados, Mega Gengar, Jolteon, Torterra, Lopunny, Incineroar, Skarmory, and Beedrill. The noteworthy thing on this team is only one Mega.
It's interesting, but Mega Gengar is such a good Mega that you don't really need anything else. It's just gonna always be the game
Gengar
plan.
has so many different strategies that can go out with it too.
It can just... It's Gengar, it's gonna eat everything. And be very happy doing so.
I'm very curious to see which strategy they go with the Gengar, simply because, at least from what I have been observing with most Mega Gengar users, is a lot of them are using moves that trap you in place, as well as Perish Song, to try to force you to have your Pokemon have a 3-turn counter. So no matter what, they die in 3 turns or less.
Well, I don't think that is going to be his main strategy, especially in a best-of-3 format. I think he is going to use it on occasion. Like, it's something he can do, and so I think we should expect it, but I don't think he's going to rely on it, because Mega Gengar, even though you are trapped there with it, is just gonna murder everything by eating it.
It's very interesting because in the past, the main counters to Perish Song have been Ghost types, but Mega Gengar can one-shot most Ghost types with a Shadow Ball. So, while Ghost types do have the ability to switch out from Shadow Tag, they might die to Gengar anyways.
This is very true. Gengar's biggest weakness is weak to it. One thing that I also found really interesting, one is just how few points Gyarados is worth, because Gyarados is just so good. And the Eeterna City Eevees balanced their points enough that they grabbed Incineroar. Incineroar, despite being so high, was not a high priority for most of us. And so, like, we got our priorities, and then by the time we wanted Incineroar, it was not in our point budget. And Nines decided, hey, I can afford it. I don't care about my last 2 Pokemon. I'm gonna take Incineroar.
It's very funny you say that, Trixie, because I planned on getting Incineroar at
Yes,
the very
you did.
end as well.
Yes, you did.
And
you got sniped at the last second.
So, Nines actually sniped me twice in this draft. The first time, I was 2 turns away from picking Primarina for my 3rd pick, and Nines was able to pick it for their 2nd pick.
Yeah, I was not expecting
and then
that.
I was about to pick Incineroar for my pick, and Nines took Incineroar. But, you know, that happens in draft. That just means that we're both really good at drafting.
Yeah, that's how draft works. Like, you can't get mad at people. Like, they got it first. And if you... that's how you know something's good, because you got sniped. None of my Pokemon got sniped, so I guess my team, which is going to be the last one we talk about, is going to be absolute garbage, because no one bothered to try to snipe me.
I don't know, maybe.
Sniped like 3 times.
Another thing to note with this team is he did not draft Mega Tyranitar, but Tyranitar is just like, it can use its Mega, but like, doesn't need it. It's Tyranitar.
It is interesting to me, though, because Mega Tyranitar was only 1 point more than regular Tyranitar. And so it does sort of make me wonder, why didn't you take the extra point? Do you think that having the room for, like, specifically Skarmory over a different 2-pointer was the deal breaker?
The idea is that he was just hoping to get something else. Like, I think he did a really good job not taking a 20-pointer as the 2nd player. It's kind of risky, but I think he knew the risk and knew that you don't need the 20-pointers to win. You just need some good stuff. And he does have some... He has 3 really high point Pokemon. And... I mean, if he took Mega Tyranitar, maybe he would have been able to afford Incineroar.
That's fair, that's fair. I am a little interested in that there isn't any, Sandstorm synergy for a lot of this. I was really surprised that Excadrill was not taken. And maybe that would be pretty, like, expected to take Excadrill with the Tyranitar. But Excadrill never left the draft board. So I think it's interesting that he never even decided to try to go for that.
Maybe he's planning on running Unnerved Tyranitar.
Yeah, that was my thought when I didn't see him going for a Sandra strat. But I've been seeing a lot of interesting picks this draft that didn't line up with a lot of what I was thinking. But then there were a few picks I did see that got sniped, so people had to change their teams last second and kind of just go with the flow.
That happened to me with Incineroar.
But one thing that is important to note is that when it comes to sand teams, Gyarados is really good with them. Like, it's immune to Earthquake, it gives a lot of synergy with it, so even though it doesn't like Sandstorm itself, it does like being on Sandstorm teams. And then there's Torterra, who won't take Sandstorm damage and is going to do its best.
Yeah, Torterra is a decent threat. It's got Earthquake, it doesn't take Sandstorm damage, it's got Shell Smash. It could be a good threat here. And something I think is really interesting is Nines' picks of Lopunny and Jolteon. Because typically in VGC, Pokemon that are fast, but not fast enough to beat some of the main threats, aren't very good. That's why you don't see a lot of Jolteon in VGC. But in Draft, Jolteon is much better because only one person has Sneasler. Only one person has Dragapult. So you can look at your opponent's team, check out the speed tiers, and know, oh, okay, so Jolteon outspeeds all of your team. Or, oh, my 105 speed Lopunny, typically it isn't very good, but against your team, it might outspeed all of your Pokemon. And so I think having that knowledge makes those Pokemon way more valuable in Draft specifically.
One thing that I like about Lopunny is you look at it and it's not good, but it does have some really interesting shenanigans that it can do. For example, its ability is Klutz. It ignores the effects of its own held item. It gets Switcheroo. So it can use Fake Out, and then the next turn it can use Switcheroo to give the opponent a Choice Scarf. Oh, sorry, you just locked yourself into Dragon Dance. And now you have to switch out, or, oh, that's your last Pokemon. It's not a threat because you're stuck. It also gets Entrainment, so depending on the Pokemon, you don't get to use your held item.
It's also a decently fast user of After You. So you could make your slower Pokemon like Torterra or Primarina get to go before they typically would with After You.
This is also very true. I'm not noticing any like major weaknesses. Like 3 Pokemon are weak to Electric, but also 2 Pokemon immune to it. So I'm not. I think maybe the biggest weakness is Ground, but again, 2 Pokemon are immune and 1 resist.
There is a lot of diversity on this team compared to my team, for example, where instead of just having one standard weakness, as you were saying, there's a lot of individual weaknesses per one, but the most major, as was stated, was Ground. So you can't really plan as accordingly. And also, a lot of the Pokemon on this team are a lot more diverse instead of clearly having defined powerhouses. Sure, you've got Incineroar and Tyranitar being the heaviest hitters in terms of points, and then Mega Gengar being right there just above them. But this team is a lot more well-rounded in that any of the 10 Pokemon could realistically constantly be swapped in and out in between games.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you have to plan accordingly for all 10 compared to just, okay, these 6 really stand out, and these 4 could potentially make 1 or 2 appearances here and there, but I'm most likely going to have to worry about these 6.
Yeah, just
I
at a
definitely think
glance,
Nines. Sorry.
What I was looking at yesterday when I was doing some planning, I think Eeterna City Eevees is going to be one of the tougher teams to beat.
Definitely.
I think Nines had a good draft for sure.
Being the second pick is on, or the last pick or the first pick, in my opinions, are some of the most important placements you can have in a draft like this. Because the second pick can immediately go off what the first person picked and immediately kind of get an idea of where they're going. And so either they could choose to try and block you, or they get a good idea of what everyone else is doing after they pick their first, and they can immediately start making just picks here and there and then constructing one of the more decent teams. Being last has the advantage of you know what everyone else in front of you picked, but you also have a lot less options available to you simply because of your placement. So it's a little bit of a pro and con list all around between where you are in this draft, because you all have the same amount of points, but being able to pick a team accordingly when there's the chance that the Pokemon you want could easily be sniped, you might not have the points for it, or you just don't have the know-how of what your opponents are going to choose and what you might need to draft in order to have an advantage or a disadvantage so your team doesn't have just this weakness to this.
Absolutely.
There's really so many different ways it can go, and I'm excited to see some of the plays that are going to be made.
Absolutely, and we will be recording as many of those matches as possible.
Next up, we have the Rayquaza Quasars roster, which is made by Eebeard, I believe.
The electronic beard.
The biggest thing that I see on this roster when I first get into it is you got one of the heavier hitters in Garchomp as well as Mega Aggron immediately after. Two very bulky and very noticeable in terms of the last couple seasons of Champions in terms of their placements recently. Garchomp is almost on any team that you see simply because of its stat pool, its move pool, typing, and just how heavy this thing hits.
Garchomp has been one of the best Pokemon in both singles and doubles since it debuted in Diamond and Pearl. I think the only Pokemon that can compare to Garchomp as far as just how good it has been throughout the entirety of its lifespan is Gyarados.
Gyarados is one of the strongest Pokemon in terms of anybody doing just a Nuzlocke, a standard run, or just competitive in general. Which, ironically, getting into Gyarados, but not going to stay on that one too long, is that Gyarados was drafted by another one of our teams further down the line, I believe.
Nines drafted it.
Yeah, by the last person that we talked about. And so, literally down right above us, Nines versus Eebeard, they've got some very powerful choices in terms of their just longevity and how useful they've been.
But getting into this team, we have some very heavy-hitting Trick Room Pokemon. Reuniclus, if anyone was playing VGC back in Black and White era, Reuniclus was one of the most used Trick Room setters and sweepers. It is slow, it is bulky, it hits hard. We have just a tremendous amount of Pokemon that love being in Trick Room, and other Pokemon that, while they don't love being in Trick Room, they absolutely do not hate it. Aggron's not particularly fast, Rotom's not fast, Tinkaton is mid-tier with speed, Conkeldurr, Camerupt very slow.
One of the Pokemon in this
might not be particularly good, but if it's in Trick Room, it's going to be very scary.
Trick Room Eruption is a option here.
Absolutely. Another option that I
scary.
clearly see on this board that I don't know if too many of us have considered it, given the fact of how Explosion works in terms of competitive. But that Mega Glalie on the board for only 6 points, I believe, is honestly a little terrifying, given the fact that so many Pokemon can learn Protect. So if Glalie is on the field and you're weak enough, it could take itself out while taking 2 of its opponent's Pokemon out at the same time. Well, players like Reuniclus, Garchomp, or Aggron could simply just protect and leave one of your Pokemon standing.
Glalie is one of the worst Megas. In fact, it is tied for the lowest point value of any Mega, but it has the strongest Explosion because of its ability Regenerator. So if Eevees brings in Glalie, expect to explode.
My Mega Sceptile is already afraid of its typing. The fact that it gets an Ice-type Explosion is not necessarily needed to take out Sceptile, but it is definitely something on my radar to be aware of.
Refrigerate is definitely going to be a bit scary. I think that it's very interesting. This team has the makeup for some Earthquake spam with Rotom Wash and Gliscor. Gliscor both being immune to Earthquake and able to Earthquake itself. However, if he does decide to go that route, Mega Aggron is weak to Earthquake. So you do wonder if he would go that route.
So high, I don't think it cares.
It might
Mega
not,
Aggron is one of those weird ones where it loses one of its typings upon Mega Evolution. At the same time, just like how some of us have drafted multiple Megas, there is no guarantee that we're going to see them use the exact Megas that they're using. I mean, in this case, it's clear that Mega Aggron is definitely stronger than Mega Glalie, so it's definitely going to appear more often than Glalie, in my opinion. But at the same time, there might be situations where it's smarter to keep it un-Mega Evolved simply because of its typing, or to Mega Evolve it to make it a pure Steel type to get rid of its weaknesses that its Ground typing, or Rock, I forget which one it is off the top of my head, provide it.
It's interesting you mention that. I want to say the lowest amount of Megas drafted is 1, and the highest amount of Megas drafted was 3. And so it will be very interesting to see just how much use all of those Megas get, and if people bring all of their Megas.
Definitely. One thing that we should actually note, that even though only 2 Megas are listed here, we are allowing
him to use Mega Garchomp.
To Mega Evolve. Not that he would, but it is an option for him since Mega Garchomp has a lower point value, but we couldn't give the Mega lower point value than the base for it. So he has access to Mega Garchomp if he wants to use it for whatever reason.
One of the only downsides is that Mega Garchomp Z, despite Garchomp being in the game, is not currently added. So at least we don't have to worry about which Mega Garchomp, if they choose to use it, we would be facing.
True. And up next we have Sheer Force Pyroar, led by Valkyrie, and we have Valkyrie right now. So Valkyrie.
Hello.
Why don't you tell us about your team?
Yes, so my team, my first pick was Whimsicott, which was really integral. My team is based on controlling speed. For Whimsicott, I have Tailwind, and with Slowking, I've got Trick Room. And I have a fast, a slow, and a mixed version of the team. For the fast version, I bring Whimsicott and some fast Pokemon to speed them up. With the slow version, I'm bringing Slowking with some slow Pokemon, and with the mixed version, I'm bringing Slowking and Whimsicott with some Pokemon that could either use Trick Room or Tailwind, and I can choose which I will go with based on what 6 they pick.
Yeah, like Mamoswine can really go either way, depending on like what your opponent brings.
Yeah, so can Flapple with a 70 speed. I think it's good in either.
Definitely, and one thing that I'm pretty sure Slowking can learn gravity, which Flapple loves.
Slowking cannot learn gravity, unfortunately, but Gardevoir can.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I checked.
That's homophobic somehow.
Yeah, but my Gardevoir does have gravity, so I can hit with some hustle boosted, gravity boosted, 100 base power Grav Apples, which is insane.
It hits hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, your team is like really scary because you got a good amount of mid-point Pokemon.
Yeah.
A lot of people like they were drafting just like, okay, well I need a 9th and 10th Pokemon, so I guess I'll take Beedrill because I like Beedrill. Not gonna use it. Be funny if they do.
Yeah. I really wanted to get Conkeldurr over Pangoro, because I think Conkeldurr is better, but Pangoro is decent. It does the same thing as Conkeldurr, just a bit worse.
Yeah.
And it has a ×4 weakness to Fairy. But it's nothing to sneeze at. It has a lot of coverage moves.
I'm not immediately noticing any like major weaknesses for your team, which is good. If I don't notice, maybe no one else will either.
I think I have a pretty big weakness to Fairy because it hits Annihilate, Sharpedo, Flapple, Mega Ampharos, and Pangoro.
Oh yeah, you know what? That does.
But I don't plan to bring Annihilate and Pangoro in the same team, so I think it should be fine.
I think so. I think you're fine.
Yeah.
But
And up against teams that have Fairy, I will bring as little of my Fairy weaknesses as I can.
Well, that's what you kind of have to do.
Yep.
Yeah, Tailwind and Trick Room support is absolutely fantastic. And you can always try to bring a mix of both in for certain players, and then they don't know what you're bringing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy with my team.
Thank you, Valkyrie. That was Sheer Force Pyroars team. Back to everyone else.
Thank you for having me.
So we just spoke with Valkyrie on her team. What do you two think of this team?
I think this team is very good. I think Whimsicott as the first pick. Whimsicott is the best Tailwind setter in the format by far, and it just sets the stage for how Valkyrie wants to play. I think that both Tailwind and Mega Gardevoir, who has a very strong spread move in the way of Hyper Voice Pixelate, is a really strong threat. Because Tailwind does take up your turn, but if you can make up for that by having a spread move on your other Pokemon, you're still making sure that none of the Pokemon go undamaged. She also made sure to take speed control in the opposite direction with Slowking Galar. And so I think that she has a lot of threats that people are going to run into and have a hard time against. I think she took a really well varied team, and I think that she has so many different ways that she could play that it's going to be really interesting to see how her games go.
One of the things I noticed right off the bat about this player specifically with Valkyrie is they are one of the few people that I am aware of in our current draft that has made it to Master Ball tier.
Oh, really?
And they used one of the Pokemon that is currently on their roster to reach Master Ball tier with, which
Annihilate.
is their Mega Sharpedo.
Oh, both of them.
That is very
Annihilate was also on the team, but their primary Mega was Sharpedo. Despite being only a 9-point Mega, is very much a rogue pick for a lot of people currently playing Champions, simply because a lot of the Megas that are currently available, for example, Kangaskhan, Sharpedo, Camerupt, Absol. Megas of that caliber aren't seeing a lot of play, but do still have very good usability depending on what team you build it around. Meanwhile, Annihilate is a scary pick. Being only 17 points, it's not the highest priority on the board, but with its typing of Ghost and Fighting, which if I remember correctly is the most dangerous type in the game behind Steel Fairy, makes it an absolute threat on the board, because any weakness that Ghost has, the Fighting type coverage can take out, and any weakness the Fighting coverage has, the Ghost typing can take out, making it just a very annoying piece on the board to try to go up against for any team going against them.
Very true.
Meanwhile, that 4-point Flapple is another one I was originally not expecting anyone to draft, but I've gone up against a few players who have used it, and surprisingly, Flapple is a huge one, I think. I honestly think it is one of the few pieces that has been severely undervalued for what it can do.
That's interesting for sure.
It can hit really hard.
I personally, during the last season, was using the really popular Rain team of Archaludon, Pelipper, Mega Swampert, and Basculegion in male. And I went up against a player who was using Flapple and Farigiraf, if I remember correctly. And the Farigiraf gave Flapple a bonus. Flapple used its signature move of, I forget the name, but it drops an apple on you. And it just absolutely annihilated my Archaludon in one single move.
Grav Apple is the name. Not that it's super important.
Because Archaludon double resists that.
Yep. That was my thoughts exactly when I saw that thing absolutely annihilate me at full health with a Iron Defense.
The lesson we learned here today is don't let apples fall on your head.
Yeah.
Sir Isaac Newton was on to something.
Not sure.
Meanwhile, some of the other picks on this board, I honestly have no clear clue what their pieces are, besides speed control in the opposite direction, like Mamoswine, Bastiodon, and Slowking Galar. But then you have pieces like Pangoro and Mega Ampharos, as well as Mega Sharpedo and Mega Gardevoir, and it makes you wonder exactly what clear strategy, if any at all, they are going for. Or if it's just have as many options available to you as you can.
I think that Tailwind makes strategies a bit forgiving. Having Tailwind and having a strong attacker in Mamoswine is a good strategy that you'll be able to take a lot of games with. So I think having strong attackers like Mamoswine, Mega Ampharos, Pangoro is especially interesting because it resists both of the stabs from King Gambit. And so having those kind of mid-range strong attackers, while being the only person in the draft, I believe, that has access to Prankster Tailwind, means that Valkyrie can just hit Tailwind and start hitting you and killing your Pokemon with strong, more bulky than the usual fast attackers, mid-speed Pokemon. And so that is a strategy in itself.
And next up is Pretty Pinnipeds, led by Polter Pages. Polter, what can you tell us about your picks?
So, maybe I'm biased, but I think I had a pretty good draft. I went for Grimmsnarl as my first pick, because in my opinion it is the best Prankster Screens Pokemon. They just recently added Light Clay and Grimmsnarl to the game with the last update, and that unlocks the ability to have a team that is mid-speed, bulky, and then with screens, very bulky. And so I went straight.
Is very good because battles aren't going to last very many turns. For anyone who watched the last video where I used a Mono Fairy team, I did use Grimmsnarl, I believe in like every battle. The battles were usually over before either screen ended.
It's really good. And especially with Mega Dragonite, who the first hit it takes is halved due to its ability. Mega Dragonite is always going to tank a couple of hits.
And that's if you even want to run the Mega. You could very well run leftovers, set up your Reflect, Dragonite barely takes any damage, heals it off so that the next attack is also cut in half.
Yeah, I do have 2 more Megas on here, in Mega Chandelure and Mega Electros. Mega Electros was a kind of late pick for me, but I thought it had really good synergy with one Pokemon that I think was highly undervalued on this draft. And maybe everyone else thinks I'm crazy, but Diggersby at 7 points felt like a steal to me.
No.
This guy hits like a truck. He's so cool.
Indeed. Its attack stat is actually higher than Garchomp. So its Earthquake
Yeah.
hits a lot more than Garchomp. And we all know how strong Garchomp is. And it has access to Quick Attack. Do not underestimate Quick Attack. Just because it can't hit anything for super effective doesn't mean it's gonna be useless. It still hurts. And surprisingly, your pick was in the middle ground, being number 5. And yet you still managed to get Sneasler round 3.
I was surprised that Sneasler fell to me, but again, we mentioned things like Incineroar didn't get drafted until round 8. I think because we only had 100 points, and so some things just fell by because people wanted to make sure that they were drafting the core of their team before they picked things like Incineroar or Sneasler, who are good fake-out mons, but there are a lot of other Pokemon with fake-out. We just saw Nines, who has Lopunny with 1 point as their fake-out Pokemon, and so it makes sense how some Pokemon kind of fell to lower rounds than you would have thought.
And you also have Grandpa, which is interesting since only
Grandpa.
2 players have weather. So you could bring that to counter the weather, or you could use Berserk.
Oh, I love Grandpa. Berserk is very good strategy with screens, with Citrus Berry. If you heal up Grandpa, it can trigger Berserk twice, so we can just have a very strong Grandpa in battle.
That you can. You can set
Grandpa.
up, you can set up a Calm Mind, trigger Berserk, heal up, trigger it again, be just having a lot of fun with +3 Grandpa, and you have a very good Trick Room setter in Trevenant as well.
I think Trevenant is really good. It can heal up with Citrus Berries, and then I believe that Trevenant gets Harvest.
It does.
I could be exposing myself for not knowing its abilities despite drafting it, but I want to say it gets Harvest. It does.
It does get Harvest. I used that in 2014 on a Trick Room team, and I did very well with it in locals.
One of the things that I am very interested in is what exactly inspired your Pokemon that can and cannot Mega Evolve? Because in terms of what Pokemon you can Mega Evolve on this team, you have 2 options that have their Megas available, but then you also have 2 other Pokemon that could have Mega Evolved that you chose to draft only their base form instead with Drampon for Alligator.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, Feraligatr, I think, is a good Pokemon with mid-bulk that can be made bulky by Grimmsnarl. But if you Mega Evolve it, Mega Feraligatr's main thing is that it has a really strong Double Edge that's Dragon-type with its ability. And so, having a big recoil move is not very good when you're trying to be bulky. However, if I just give Feraligatr Life Orb, it won't take the Life Orb damage because it's Sheer Force. And so I can have a kind of mid-speed bulky Pokemon that is throwing out things like Ice Punch, Liquidation, things like that. And so it's able to do a lot of good damage with Life Orb, but it still doesn't take damage from Life Orb because of Sheer Force, and is able to get that bulk from Grimmsnarl. So that's why I took Feraligatr. I thought it'd be a good water switch-in that has decent bulk, and has a lot of options for its attacking moves.
Well said.
The one pick I was not sure about is Alchemy. I don't know. We'll see if I'll be bringing Alchemy. I saved a lot of points for the end so I could pick a good Pokemon, and then I picked Alchemy and I'm very unsure about it. I think Decorate is a really interesting niche, and so, in theory, Alchemy is a good Pokemon, because it can make your other Pokemon, like, at +2 attack, which is really good. However, the top item for Alchemy on Pikalytics, shout out Pikalytics, is Choice Scarf. And so that basically means that because Alchemy is very slow, you're trying to outspeed your partner Pokemon so you can boost them. In practice, that means that Alchemy, if you just never attack it, is boosting your partner Pokemon and never doing anything itself. So your opponent can just constantly attack the partner Pokemon, get rid of it, and then Alchemy is just gonna boost the next one while doing no damage itself. So it kind of becomes not very worthwhile if your opponent just never targets it down. We'll see if that's what happens in practice, because I do think the Decorate is a really interesting niche, and I think it is good for me to have a Fairy type for types that Fairy matches up well into. But I was a little bit unsure about Alchemy as my final pick.
Fair enough.
All I can say about that is everybody likes cake.
Next up, we have the Boca Raton Raticates, which is by our co-manager of this whole draft, Dummy.
And the tournament organizer.
We love our TOs!
The first two picks are some of the most heavy pointers you could pick, but also very big threats, with King Gambit and Basculegion Male. King Gambit having the ability to potentially do exactly what Basculegion normally does, just with its ability instead of its attack, with Dream Overlord, where it could either be used to try and sweep after all your Pokemon have fallen, or a lot of people tend to use it for its just really good bulk and a good attack stat with things like Kowtow Cleave, or Basculegion Male, which is used for Last Respects, Aqua Jet. It's just insane power in terms of what it can do. And
Yeah,
just the
both
fact
of these,
that
and the fact that he managed to get two 20-point Pokemon is really good for him, and they are two of the biggest threats in Champions at the moment, and have been since the beginning.
I personally don't know if we'll be seeing Supreme Overlord on King Gambit, because
I don't think so either.
it looks like Kangaskhan and Basculegion are really big physical threats, and so obviously someone might want to bring an Intimidator. But if King Gambit has Defiant, then, well, you just boosted King Gambit. So I think that Dummy really set him up to be able to adjust his team to whether he sees if the opponent has an Intimidator, and then if they do, he might just bring Defiant.
I think Defiant is very good because it scares off Intimidators, which, I mean, he's got with Basculegion, Kangaskhan, and Lucario, he's got some really heavy-hitting physical attackers.
I think you forgot Arbok, actually. My goat.
Arbok has Intimidate, and that's about it.
It's got a strong gunk shot.
It does have a
It's
strong
got
gunk
coil.
shot. It's got coil to increase the accuracy and power of gunk shot.
Yeah.
And boost.
I think
defense, which
Altaria
already
is a
has.
very big sleeper of his.
Altaria is definitely a good one, because it
Cloud
does
9.
have Cloud9, which stops the weather of 2 of our players. He's got Blastoise, which, despite not being a cat, which is primarily what gets Fake Out, the turtle gets Fake Out.
It
also
does?
Gets Water Spout, and I mean, it has other good moves as well if you want to use those, but
It's
those
got
two
Shell
moves
Smash.
primarily. Of course it has Shell Smash. Why would it not? So, Blastoise, I think, is one Pokemon that you want to not necessarily take out quickly, but you want to hit it quickly so that you don't die to Water Spout. He also took Meowstic Male, which, while not as good as many other Prankster Pokemon, it does have Prankster screens. It's got plenty of moves that can either support him or hinder the opponent. He's got Lifeguard, which also has Prankster, who's got 2 Prankster Pokemon that will love to either support himself or just annoy you. He's got Pikachu, which, I mean, it has a really strong Volt Tackle, for whatever that's worth.
It's got Fake Out as well.
Yeah, he's got, what is that, like... He has quite a few Fake Out users. Kangaskhan, Lifeguard, Blastoise, Meowstic, Pikachu. Possibly Lucario? I don't think Lucario gets it, though.
He could
To my
go
knowledge,
with
it doesn't.
double. He could go with double Fake Out. He also has the option of going. I don't know if he would, but going Mega Meowstic and regular Kangaskhan, because regular Kangaskhan does have the Fake Out and Final Gambit options, which is realistically still a good option.
Mega Kangaskhan might not be as good as it once was, but it is still good.
And next up, we have the Denver Nuggies. I think this team is very interesting. The first pick was Mega Charizard X, and I think this pick was made as more of a denial than actually with the intention of having a strong Pokemon. Not to say that Mega Charizard X isn't a strong Pokemon, but by the rules of the draft, if Mega Charizard X or regular Charizard was picked, then no one can get Mega Charizard Y. And that is probably the strongest Mega option available without Mega Floette available. And so I think it's very interesting that our leader of the Nuggies did that.
He definitely did. While not the top priority for players, I do think there were several players who probably would have chosen Charizard Y if he didn't deny them. And
I probably would have been one of them.
Charizard X is still going to hit hard. While it's not as good in doubles as Y, it's still good and still a threat. And we're just not going to see Y spamming Heat Wave. He also, I think, while Charizard X was denial, choosing Raichu X and Y was more of a because I can.
It's mostly, I think, just to give you the possible hesitation that he has the other one. But I think he's mostly going to go with Y, because, I mean, X is...
Y is definitely the better of the two in general. Because while X can hit harder with Volt Tackle, Y is faster, and it has, the perfect accuracy Zap Cannon. It can actually hit with Focus Miss. But Raichu X just does not add any synergy to the team because the rest of his team just is not going to use any electric attacks.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a lot of X. I think that Raichu in general, base Raichu, is a good Pokemon. It gets what we've been talking about the whole draft. It gets Fake Out. It's a good Focus Sash user. It can use Helping Hand. It can use Charm. It's got a lot of good options. So I would not discount the idea of having Mega Charizard X and base Raichu as a partner.
Yes, and even though he has access to 3 Megas, I think the ones we're going to see the most are Raichu Y and Charizard X. Clefable is generally better without Mega Evolving, but he does have the option.
I think Clefable is interesting. I think that base Clefable would be a very good partner for Mega Raichu Y, because Mega Raichu Y's main weakness is that it's so, it's very frail, but it hits like a truck with things like Zap Cannon. And so if you have Mega Clefable, or base Clefable, with the ability to use Follow Me to protect that Raichu, then your opponent's Pokemon are going to get hit by a strong as heck Zap Cannon and get paralyzed.
Yeah, that paralysis is a very good form of speed control, and potentially just while it is random, you could just be denied your turn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's assuming anything survives the Zap Cannon.
It's very strong.
And then Caesar, we all know Caesar. We all love Caesar.
It's a good
Bullet
Pokemon.
Punch. It's Bullet Punch.
Bullet
There's
Punch.
Nothing more to be said. It's Bullet Punch. I guess it has other moves.
Bug Bite? Is Bug Bite in the
Hypothetically.
game?
That is a good question. I don't actually know if Bug Bite is in the game. If it is a really good move.
He does have access to Bug Bite. I went up against the Mega Sizzle earlier today who used one.
Use
Well,
Bug Bite?
It's got... So, yeah, Mega Caesar is... Or not Mega. Regular Caesar is going to get that 90 power Bug Bite and eat your Citrus Berry.
Yeah.
Milotic is also very scary, because a lot of people have started running it with Coil. Not for the attack boost that Coil gives, but for the accuracy boost, because Milotic is the only Pokemon with Coil that also gets Hypnosis, which is very scary. A guaranteed 1 to 3 turns of your opponent not attacking is... If your opponent doesn't wake up turn 2, it is really a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Meowscarada with Protean, Skeledirge with its, what is it, Fire Song?
Torch Song!
Torch Song. I knew I had it wrong.
Skeledirge is also interesting because it gets unaware. So if anyone does decide to set up, Skeledirge does not care.
It does not care. Oh, your Mega Aggron is boosting its special defense? I don't care.
Yeah, sorry.
Scolipede, it's not particularly good normally, but in draft, it does get speed boost. It has pretty good stats overall. So while a lot of things can do anything it wants to do better, it by no means is weak. That 2-point is definitely misleading.
I'm gonna say it here, and don't hate me. Don't hate me, Black Ice League, but I do think that regular Scolipede might be better than Mega Scolipede. Mega Scolipede does not have a lot going for it.
If Mega Scolipede had a better ability,
Uh-huh.
you might be you
If
would
it had-
definitely be wrong, but
If
they
it had
gave him
speed
battle
boost.
armor. Honestly, I don't think
Yeah.
it needed to keep speed boost. If it had like maybe Tough Claws, I don't know why it would get Tough Claws, but if it did, Mega Scolipede I think would be used more. You just protect turn 1, you get that speed boost. Maybe you set up to get a second one, and then Mega Evolve and start smacking everything with those claw-like antennae. That's my logic. That's why it should get Tough Claws instead of battle
Mhm.
armor.
Do we see Pidgeot or Pinsir getting any use? Pidgeot
No.
does have Tailwind.
Pidgeot has Tailwind, but that's the only thing it can do without being a Mega. It has some pretty good moves, but it does not have the stats to use those moves. So we could see Tailwind and then just some overall support. I don't know what support moves it gets, but we could be seeing that. Pinsir is kind of the same thing. Without the Mega, it doesn't have a lot going for it. But with the right support, Pinsir maybe what he's gonna do, because I have known Joker for quite a while, and he does live up to his name. He may just try to run Choice Scarf and Guillotine.
That's an option for sure.
That is an option, and while it is gimmicky, while it is likely to make him lose, one Guillotine getting off could very well be enough for him to advance in to the finals.
I mean, if he hits it, he hits it. That sounds... If he hits it against me, I might be a little bit mad.
Well, you can't get mad at your for anything getting sniped in a draft. I think you can always be mad at Guillotine hitting.
And last but not least, we have the Lunar Empire ran by our fellow TO and also your lovely announcer for this whole thing, Trixie Lavender.
So, surprisingly, none of my picks were sniped from me, which is just amazing. I did want Grimmsnarl, but I knew I wasn't going to get it, so I did not plan for it. Instead, I planned against it by picking Metagross. So, sorry, Polter, I have every intention of Psychic Fanging everything, except Grimmsnarl itself,
What
obviously.
the heck?
I'm going to bullet punch that thing to death.
No.
I also have Mega Swampert, which loves the rain. Metagross loves the rain. And that's why I picked Pelipper, because just... rain is so good. But I didn't want to rely on rain, so I also picked Ninetales, who might not be as good at setting up screens as anything with Prankster, but it can do both in one turn.
Aurora Veil.
It has Aurora Veil. I also have Frostlass that, if I wanted to, I could be annoying, for lack of a better word, and give it Bright Powder and Snow Cloak. And I think it can learn Double Team if I really want to take that to more annoying places.
Trixie, you could never be annoying.
I have one of my favorite Pokemon in Delphox. I wanted to save the best for last. It is not Mega. Mega was not in the budget. But I was able to get my Witch Fox. Now we just need to give her fancy hat. Ariados, while generally not good, it is the only Rage Powder user who resists everything from Sneasler. I feel like this team is like anti-Polter.
Ah,
It's
no.
okay,
the
I got a
legends of Island.
chandelier with your name on it.
It's okay. That's just what married couples do.
I do have to put in that you and I, Trixie, were first and last of our picks. And so
This
we
is
are
true.
completely different ends of that spectrum.
That is true, and
But also,
being last,
you-
ending each round, but also starting the next one, allowed me to always choose 2 Pokemon every single time, which has its advantages, but also being at either end just means everyone is going to choose twice before you get your next pick. So
exactly.
being on either end, you are more likely to be sniped, which again, I wasn't sniped at all in this. I did choose Sableye because while it is not as good as Grimmsnarl, it is immune to Fake Out and Prankster Taunt, which is the only Pokemon that can do that while still setting up things. It gets Fake Out, which Grimmsnarl does not. It gets screens, it gets
Gets
a whole
access to
bunch-
Encore.
It does have access to Encore. It has a lot of fun stuff. Staraptor is... I used Staraptor in 2012 to great success. Well, what made Staraptor good then is not in the game. That being, it eats Ludicolo for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Ludicolo is not in the game. But even then, it has Intimidate, it has Reckless, it has a really strong Brave Bird, it has Close Combat, it's got U-Turn, Quick Attack, Final Gambit if I really want to do that. Staraptor is versatile. It may not be as good as it once was, but it is still a scary Pokemon to face. And the last Pokemon that I chose was Simipour, simply because I only had 3 points, and Simipour is the better of the monkeys because it can use Scald.
It looks like a pretty good team. I'm curious about Sableye. I don't know if you'll ever Mega it, but it is a really good Pokemon. It is a great alternative rain setter.
I have no intention of using Mega Sableye because it's... As far as doubles goes, it is worse, and so it was a free Megastone that I actually ate it, so I'm able to Mega Evolve into Mega Sableye.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just like
That's
Rayquaza. If
crazy.
you eat a Megastone, you're able to Mega Evolve. You just gotta make sure you do it right. I've noticed
But if
when
you-
when I'm brushing my teeth, I've noticed my eyes get a little kind of a glittery, gemstone-y look, and so I'm pretty sure that I will be able to Mega Evolve. I just haven't quite figured out how to do that. Maybe I just don't have a keystone, I don't know.
That's exciting.